Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is the new Teen Titans, number 34, again by Marv Wolfman and George Perez. And this is the last part of the Prelude to the Contract. After this review, I'll just get right to the Judas Contract of the new Teen Titans. But anyhow, this is where everything becomes very obvious. It's kind of been obvious for a while, but this is where everything gets revealed, essentially, and what sets up the Judas Contract. So we open up, we get some nice vertical panels. I like this vertical panel design. You get this nice sort of cutaway storytelling right here by George Perez. And, excuse me, we get this is Wintergreen, and here is the Terminator, or, you know, what he was called back in the 80s. This is Deathstroke, for those who aren't familiar. Obviously, the Terminator becomes a lot more confusing once the movie The Terminator came out, and it's not nearly as good here. But yeah, old man Deathstroke is kind of mentioning. So early on in the Teen Titans run, the Terminator was contracted to assassinate the Teen Titans by Hive, the Teen Titans' primary villainous organization. And kind of has some reminiscing about his life, his purpose, and his past. This is Slade Wilson, a businessman. And we jump over to Endings and Beginnings. Here we get some nice caption narration of Tara Markov, Tara. And surprise, surprise, the Titans give her a birthday party right here. She blows out the candles, but she kind of mentions like, hey, I've been here for a while. How come you guys haven't really told me who the heck you guys are? You guys all know I'm Tara Markov. Who are you guys actually, right? Your secret identity. That thing that, these superhero comics hold so dear, right? Somewhere else, Robin and Adrian Chase are off doing some sketchy shit. So in the previous issue, again, I'm kind of jumping around issues because I'm mainly interested in what sets up the Judas Contract, not all the stories in between. But Adrian Chase kind of drags Robin along in this vigilante scheme right here. So this crime lord, Scarapelli, I think he's the primary suspect for peddling the drugs to the kids in the previous issue of The Runaways. And so Adrian Chase is determined to take him down, apparently taking him down using very sketchy tactics, too. We go back to Titan's Tower. I always laugh how it's a freaking T. And Tara is getting very frustrated with the other Titans and asking him, hey, how come you guys won't tell me who you are? And, in the middle of all this, Donna Troy, Wonder Girl, decides that it's time for her to go meet up with Terry and decide what she's going to do with him. Since last issue, if you guys remember, he proposed to her. She stops by Wally, who is, moody and frustrated, which is typically Wally in these damn Teen Titans issues. And Wally's kind of made the decision that he's going to leave the Titans, and they have a sort of last conversation right here. Then we jump back to the Terminator, aka Deathstroke, and he's found his target. He heads out to take him out. We go over to a community college. Apparently, this dude is at a community college. This dude, God, I can't even remember his name. I just know it's, Terry Long. He's working as a professor, and he has this girl, one of his students, who's hot for him. Trying to get a one-on-one tutoring session, and then Wonder Girl shows up and kind of blows her out the water, and there she is wearing the ring, and pretty much she's accepted his proposal to go get married, and Marv Wolfman can live out his fantasy in this book. So there's Tara Markov back at the Teen Titans Tower, and she's getting really frustrated, and particularly frustrated with Raven, who, for those of you who have been kind of paying attention, Raven has always been distrustful of Tara from the very get-go, which makes sense because she's an empath, so she can feel people's emotions and interior intentions, and she knows Tara isn't actually a good person. And Tara kind of knows that Raven sniffs her out, and while they're having an argument, they get a phone call. Gar picks it up, Beast Boy, and it's Sarah, who in the previous issue was discovered to have been engaged to to this guy Mark over here, and Cyborg is still being kind of a little bitch right here, and not really answering and refusing to talk to her because he's kind of had the hots for her for a while, and he's kind of angry that she never told him that she was engaged. Turns out the reason why is because she actually isn't engaged, and this dude is kind of a creepy stalker. So she's able to kind of fight him off and send him on their way. And then, meanwhile, back at the Titans Tower, they get a phone call. It's Deathstroke kind of goading them to take him on. And Gar's about to head out till Tara, oddly enough, knocks him out and heads out alone. Very interestingly enough. And Flash decides to follow. We get back to where Deathstroke has a guy held hostage. In comes Tara, and they fight each other. Kind of Tara kind of overpowers him, but Deathstroke kind of unlocks his mind to go freaking, freaking Rock Lee or some shit on her, and he's able to kind of knock Tara out of the air with an explosive. But she gets picked up by Kid Flash, and the rest of the Titans show up to get into a big fight with Deathstroke, Terminator. And Flash is able to save Tara, but then Flash, for whatever reason, gets super mopey or moody, gets his ass whipped by Deathstroke and held captive. What the fuck, man? Dude, like, Wally gets screwed by Marv Wolfman constantly. And then Tara returns the favor by saving Kid Flash, and she kind of fights off the Terminator, who supposedly self-destructs. And then the Titans congratulate Tara, and they get, this nice moment where they're like, yeah, she's a real Titan. We're going to tell her everything, next time. And then later that night, she heads to an apartment room where a figure greets her. And, she reveals the real Tara Markov. And that is, she's a traitor. She is the Judas, right? And, here's Deathstroke, and they have basically been working together to take down the Titans for the last 10 or so issues. And back over at Adrian Chase's office, Robin confronts him, saying, hey, this is bullshit. I'm not a freaking, I'm not going to, corrupt you. You're supposed to be a district attorney. You're not supposed to be breaking the law to just bag the bad guy. You have to be better than that. Kind of to take one from the Dark Knight, right? And Adrian Chase is like, well, you know what, too bad. That's what I'm going to do. So Robin walks off and's like, don't call me again. And, his wife, Adrian Chase, notices that, or tells him that they've got a clown from an Uncle Arthur for his son. And he realizes, I don't have an Uncle Arthur. And then, boom, freaking office gets blown up. There's Robin, noticing it like, holy shit. And this basically leads into the story of the new Teen Titans annual, which is this one right here. But really the important part is this revelation here that Tara Markov has been kind of playing them. And if you kind of pay attention, you can see the little inklings here. Really, there's little small spots where Marv Wolfman kind of shows it, right? And then you know that the drama is getting kicked up to a 10 right here as you go into the Judas Contract and that storyline. But anyhow, what do I think about this issue? It's a typical Marv Wolfman issue. A lot of stuff is going on, a lot of big brains thing. Again, it's kind of the big difference between the Uncanny X-Men and the New Teen Titans, and I've said this over and over again, when I look at it, is I think Claremont is a little bit better at kind of humanizing his characters. Marv Wolfman has like higher stakes and bigger and more interesting ideas typically than Claremont, is what I kind of feel with the New Teen Titans. But I think the characterization is better in the Uncanny X-Men. And I think the biggest difference when I look at these two, the two series, is the Teen Titans, especially for the run that Marv Wolfman has, it's very consistently George Perez. And so it has a very solid art flow. Whereas the Uncanny X-Men, during this era, they were, changing artists. So it was jumping between... there was a good run with John Byrne, and then it went back to Dave Cockrum, then it went around to like Paul Smith, etc. Claremont never really had a person for more than like 2 years or so, whereas the Titans here were very solidly George Perez for I feel like 30-something issues or 40 issues. So it was a good chunk of George Perez helming the art for this series. And then the other big difference is editing. So you could tell the influence of Jim Shooter very much in every single issue of Uncanny X-Men. There was no failure to catch the reader up when you picked up an issue of Uncanny X-Men, whether it was through your standard sort of narration boxes or the way Chris Claremont set up his story. I mean, Chris Claremont was very good at executing that Jim Shooter style structure, so it was not a problem. Whereas Marv Wolfman, sometimes he'll do it, a lot of times though, like this issue, not so much. He just wants to do what he wants to do. And this is why Marv Wolfman was doing a lot more stuff for Marvel back in the days when writers could be their own editors. But once Jim Shooter came around and he stopped all of that, Marv Wolfman kind of ran off to DC and didn't really come back much after that. But anyhow, this issue is, it's good, but, it's just, kind of what I've said before about this series for the most part. But this is getting super interesting right here as we get into the Judas Contract and things get, kicked to a freaking 10 right here. Anyhow, let's get to the art. So pencil this guy with a 0.05. So in this case, I was kind of aiming for something with a little more attitude. I wanted to kind of give a pose with Tara that kind of showed off more of her inner personality, right? She's kind of a bitch, and to dodge the YouTube censor, she is very much a slattern in her personal life, especially you'll see later on. And so she, kind of goading you, giving you kind of that bitch face look, big fist in the air, kind of a callback to one of her first issues with the Titans. But anyhow, let's do this. I'm going to do inks in 3, 2, 1. Okay, inks. So this is kind of interesting. I actually screwed up writing her name in Word, or I guess lettering her name. So I ended up just blacking out this whole thing with a Pitt pen, and then experimenting with this new white bullet nib pen that I had. Kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't think there's ever a good white ink. I think all white inks suck, dude. I haven't found one yet that covers really well. They all kind of just bleed through and they don't really do a good job of cleaning up. But as far as the inking is concerned, pretty straightforward. Just tried to weigh lines on the interiors as much as I could. I kind of had a lot of fun with the earth arm here. And we'll see how it works with the colors. But yeah, just kind of stuck with what the pencils gave me. And didn't try to do too much here. Just try to weight the lines where I could and just work it clean for the most part. So not the world's most interesting ink, but I just kind of work it little by little and get better. So anyhow, colors in 3, 2, 1, and there you go, colors. So pretty straightforward with this one. It's basically a lot of browns, so a lot of E00, E15, E18, and E11, a lot of E15. So her costume essentially is the color of the earth, with a little bit of a light background. So I didn't really have the exact color for the inner lining color. I think it's like in between an orange and a yellow. I don't know how to really describe it. But the rest of this, in the actual comic book, her skin color is a little bit darker, but I wanted her to pop a little bit more, so I went with a very light pale skin on this one. And then as far as the earth is concerned, this was just, flat it, put in some basic lines with the darkest brown, and then just blend it down, and that's how you get this guy right here. So overall, not too bad. If I could do things better, I would say I would make her stance even more ridiculous. I'd almost make her bend over like a cheesecake pose. Because I think it's probably even more representative of what this character is all about, right? Anyhow, that's the video, guys. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. If you got any comments about the new Teen Titans number 34 or my art, leave it down below. I will see you next time.